yesterday, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, announced that the company is ending its exclusive purchasing deal with Dangote Refinery, paving the way for other fuel marketers to source petrol directly on the facility. Now, this is a big deal, but many Nigerians still don't understand what it means. So to help us have a better understanding, to have the impact of this announcement will be on us, is an energy professional, an engineer. He's Engineer Mustafa Samaila Ngawa. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
So we'll like to start with this announcement because, as I said, one of the things I love about this show is the fact that we're able to bring complex matters and break it down for Nigerians to understand. So what Nigerians are expecting that now that Dangote says, now that NNPC is no more that exclusive off-taker, everybody can now, marketers who are registered can now go to Dangote to buy PMS for distribution. Now, Nigerians are expecting that might affect the cost of PMS. Could you help us understand if that's going to be the case?
Okay, good morning. Am I audible now?
Yes, very clearly.
Okay, so just like you said yesterday, NNPC announced, even though there is no official announcement from them, but it is all over the news that they are no longer now the sole off-taker of Dangote Refinery petrol. What that means is that if there is any element of subsidy in the previous pump price, it will no longer be there. Mm-hmm. In simple terms, the last order NNPC bought from Dangote Refinery that came at about 898 plus all other charges. The price was calculated at about 950 in some places and about 1,000 in some places. It was clear that NNPC sold that product, that particular order, to marketers at about 790 something. So that means NNPC paid a differential of about 133 naira per liter.
Yeah.
Yes. So for NNPC to withdraw from being the sole off-taker now, that means that differential cannot be paid by NNPC and cannot be paid by anybody else, which means Nigerians will be the ones to pay for everything. There will be no single subsidy. In other words, differential being paid for any liter of petrol bought in the market. So that means the price is likely to go up, but we don't know to what extent, but this development will likely result in increase in pump price at filling stations.
Okay, let me ask a question. So one of the things some experts are saying is now that the NNPC will not be the sole off-taker of products, right? Marketers now have an opportunity to negotiate prices. And as many marketers are getting into the business, a lot more people will pump money into the business because it now becomes lucrative. You put in money, you make a profit from it. We will likely start seeing a reduction in the pump price later on. Is that what is going to happen eventually using market forces?
Yes, competition is one of the major market forces that help pricing. But in this case, we already have other modular refineries, and they have been producing other products like the LPFO, the diesel, the aviation fuel, and the rest. But the problem is that even Dangote, there is a particular threshold of price that it cannot go lower than that. So even if marketers have negotiation power, it can only be to an extent. There is a particular threshold that Dangote Refinery cannot go below. So that negotiation power cannot influence the pricing to a large extent. But what will influence the pump price is the number of marketers that have access to Dangote Refinery. If we have like 10 marketers, 20 marketers, 30 marketers, buying directly from Dangote Refinery at the same price. So the competition will come in through the pump price, because the lower your price, the more customers you have. So that's why the competition will help the market.
Okay, so what's the implication of this naira for crude? How? Because what you are saying now in my heart is pumping. You know that, we know if crude is based, if petrol is based on the price of crude in dollars as a final product, it will be too high based on the present circumstance for us to pay. So what's the implication of this naira for crude that the NNPC was, the president had ordered initially?
Okay, so I think it has started on October 1st, just like announced by the coordinating minister of economy. Even though the media doesn't have, it's not in the full picture of the structure. Nobody knows the structure, how it was structured, how that transaction is structured. But from assumptions, practical assumption is that the government will sell crude to Dangote in naira, but at equivalent dollar rate of the prevailing crude oil price. So if that is the case, the only impact on our economy from that transaction is that it will put less pressure on our currency, because about 40% of our forex demand is going to PMS imports. Yes, because I think about $3 billion is going. We are spending about $3 billion for imports every month, and about 1.3 is going for PMS alone. So if we have
for clarity,
here in Nigeria.
For clarity, help me understand. For clarity, help me understand. So if dollar is 1,600, what the NNPC would do is that the cost of a liter, that they will determine for of crude that they'll give to Dangote, is just to convert the amount of dollar a barrel is to naira and sell it at that same value. So we're still
at that value.
nothing changed now.
Nothing changed, but there is less pressure on dollar.
No, that's naira. For the
over time, the naira will come. The value of the naira will appreciate, and once naira appreciates, that means the amount Dangote will pay for the crude will also go down, and ultimately the price of the pump price will also go down.
Okay,
so
good. That's good.
This is like long-term something.
Okay.
So if they repaired the refineries, our own refineries, would it go down even further? Because that's another thing. Dangote will be the only one selling
local
fuel now. If we have other refineries selling it, won't the prices go down further?
Yes, because of competition now. Because of competition, the prices will go down further. Because this one is government refinery. So I believe their profit margin will be much lower than private refineries. So if we have that product in the market, it will compel private refineries to also adjust their prices to something more reasonable. Because government is not much after profit, but after serving the needs of the country. So I believe with coming of other government refineries, there is high propensity that the prices of finished product will drastically go down.
Let's pick your brain a bit, because you're a professional in this sector, and it's all the time we have a professional who can share some insights. One of the issues we've had concerning petrol in this country is how much are Nigerians consuming. There were indications in the past where they said that most of our petrol is being taken to other neighboring states. And now that we're having Dangote, we can now know specifically how much Nigerians are consuming. With this, do you think the marketers would also sell only within Nigeria, or we still would not know how much we are producing? Because if this marketer starts taking our crude, or our petrol outside, we still would know how much Nigerians are consuming. Would that be a problem, do you think?
Okay, so the major reason for that diversion is because the market was subsidized. Because PMS is cheaper in Nigeria than it is in Nigeria, than it is in Cameroon, than it is in Chad, it is in Benin Republic, which are our borders. So because we used to subsidize, it is better for them to buy the subsidized one from Nigeria and then go there and sell. Our marketers get more profits selling in Niger, Cameroon, Benin than selling in Nigeria because it's very cheap. But with this development, if the PMS is sold at fair market price, that means there is no need for diverting it. It is the same thing in Niger. Niger people, marketers can come to Dangote and buy, Benin marketers can come to Dangote and buy because the price is a fair price in the market price. So with this development, I believe we will see, we'll be able to determine our actual consumption because the removal of subsidy last year also exposed that to an extent. We used to consume, allegedly consume 60 million, but after removal of subsidy, it came down to about 40 million. And that 40 million is still overestimation. So with this development, I believe we'll be able to know exactly what our consumption is.
Yeah, and I also, in addition to that, I also think that it will be difficult to smuggle it out when it's almost at the same price. Normally what they do is, because of the subsidy, we sell it lower here, then they smuggle and sell at the right price. But now when you are smuggling to sell the same thing, nobody will be buying from you. But I wanted to ask, because it was in the papers this morning, that the crude for naira for crude will only be lasting for 6 months. Do you have a confirmation for that? Because what I thought initially was it was going to be a template for us in Nigeria. Since the crude is gotten here, anybody who will be buying from here will be buying in naira to reduce the pressure on the forex. But if we're selling to the international market, we now sell in USD. Can you confirm to us, sir?
No, like you said, there is no official document pointing to that.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, we don't have the structure now officially released by the government on how this transaction will look like. But there, at some point, my advocacy, I made it clear that this transaction is unsustainable. So this is just confirming to me that yes, my conviction is right. It's unsustainable, and the reason for that is crude oil is traded in dollar, and it's global commodity. So if you are saying you are transacting in local currency, that means you are deviating from the normal path, the original way of doing the transaction. So that means it is actually unsustainable because, number one, Nigeria will be, just like the value of naira will be appreciating, also Nigeria will be losing some revenue in dollars. And then it is obstructing the local, the global crude supply, which I believe Nigeria wouldn't want to be part of a party to that obstruction. So this is just about, like a peculiar situation that is born out of desperation or born out of desperate situation.
Let me ask you, sir. Let me add something to the question. So in my head, our relations with the international consumers, shouldn't it be different from our local consumers? Is there no way we can separate it and still have a balance? So if I am transacting internationally with my crude, I'll put it at an international price, no giving. I'm not going to sell my crude to Ndi Obodo Yibo in naira. It's not going to happen. But if I'm selling to my people, because the fact that they own the product should give them a form of, like if you check other countries where resources are gotten from the particular country, we see that the citizens of that country have more benefits than outsiders. Can we not play it that way and still make what we are making from the international market, but our own is different from what is happening in the international level? Is it not possible?
It will bring corruption.
How?
So what I was saying is that there is still going to be benefit. These 6 months, the assumption is that after these 6 months, the value of naira will have appreciated to the extent that even if we sell in dollar, it will not be noticed.
Wow.
Because if we have dollar at 1,200, which is realistic in 6 months, if we don't have that too much pressure on dollar, we can, the naira can appreciate up to 1,200, 1,000 naira per dollar. with this transaction going on because it's taking off 40% of dollar demand on the naira. So once we have that, that means the naira has appreciated, and the amount we are selling, the price we are selling to Dangote, crude Dangote is also going down, and then ultimately the PMS will go down. So that is the benefit. That's why I believe this transaction will take only 6 months. By that time, maybe all things will have been equal.
I wanted to ask concerning the refineries again, as an expert in this sector. YK asked earlier that do you think Nigeria should start investing in rehabilitating the current refineries that we have? We read in the papers this morning that a private company, Wando, is bidding to buy a refinery in Trinidad and Tobago. And we're thinking, how do we, in your own professional perspective, do you think, how do we even begin to get more refineries, private and public owned, so that to bring the cost of, to have more players in this sector?
Okay, like I said, we have about 3 or 4 refineries. 3, but one is categorized as 2, the Port Harcourt refinery. And the total capacity is 440 or so. So the more refineries we have, the more energy security the country will have, because it means that we have more options and we have excess that we can even export. Because PMS, we have countries around us that are also battling with this energy insufficiency. So once we can have enough to export, that means we already have a market where our product is going. So it is very good to have as much refineries as possible. And then for me, the government refineries, the 4 of them, after the rehabilitation, almost all of them are under rehabilitation now, the Warri, Port Harcourt, and Kaduna refineries. And I believe that after rehabilitation, this should be commercialized. And rightfully so, the NNPC announced, I think about 2 or 3 months ago, that they are inviting interested companies to tender for maintenance. They are not commercializing, they are just going to do service contracts. Qualified companies that are shortlisted will sign contract with NNPC for maintenance of the refinery, maybe 5-6 years, 6-year contract or so. After that, another company can come in, or if you perform well, you maintain the contract. So that means NNPC will have no business maintaining the refinery. That company that won it will be the one solely responsible for managing the refinery.
I was wondering, in a bid to making the naira stronger, why are we always thinking in dollars? Why don't we think in naira? If they want my crude oil, buy my crude oil in naira, so that they will now be looking for naira.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are we always looking for dollar and everybody look for naira? So when they're looking for naira, it will now.
You know, the problem is that we have government is not only looking at it is also looking at their own expenditure, their own budgeting, their own fiscal issues. You know, we cannot run away from it that dollar is the determining currency across the globe.
Who made it the determining currency? Who?
Yes,
which people are involved in that?
Our reserve is foreign exchange reserve is still in dollar. Almost everything is in dollar.
Wow.
So, and almost everything that if our importers are importing equipment, every other thing that we are importing, we are doing in dollars. So we have to think in dollars, seriously. It's not only in Nigeria, it's almost everywhere. So there is no way we can run away from dollar. The best thing is for us to work on the parameters that make it stronger or otherwise. So I think that's what the government is currently doing. That's why you see almost every one of the main objectives of central bank is foreign exchange management. If you look at it, You see that almost every central bank in the world is concentrating on dollar because that's the globally most acceptable currency.
Right. Okay, let me take Nima's question. Go ahead.
If the petroleum industry bill now law had stated that our local refineries should buy crude in naira, is it 6 months trial period? Is it possible that the NNPC after 6 months will end the crude naira for crude?
Petroleum Industry Act did not specify that the local refinery must buy in naira. It only gave option that it can be traded in naira or any other currency as accepted and by the authorities. And this is one of government has agreed that it can be sold in naira for this period, and government can still reverse the decision and say that we continue doing in dollars. So it depends. Any currency that is acceptable to Nigeria as the owner of the crude, PIA has agreed to that.
All right, we have to wrap up with you, but I mean, I think in a nutshell, I'd just like you to paint a picture for Nigerians, because this was supposed to be good news for us, but still, because we are realizing that the pricing might not change much, so we're still a bit skeptical. So where do you see us in the next 6 months to 1 year? How do you think things will be? Just help us understand now that Dangote Refinery will be selling to multiple marketers and distributing across the country.
Okay, so the benefit for Nigerians, number one, I'm happy to announce that we will have at least sufficient supply of the product in the market. I believe we will not be having issues to queue for 1 hour, 2 hours before we can buy fuel. That's one benefit.
Amen.
Nigerians will stand to benefit. Number two is that in the next 6 months, 1 year, I believe the price of dollar will come down. And if the price of dollar comes down, I believe it will affect almost everything in the economy, including PMS, because it's the first point of contact, because it is the most dollar-rated commodity we have in the market. So I believe the dollar will come down and it will affect the pricing of petroleum products, including PMS. So by the next 6 months, I hope we will be buying PMS